remember this. We've done 2 shows at the Cadillac Club. This is our 3rd. The Mets record 2-0. So we're going to put the undefeated streak on the line a little bit later on.
This thing with the Braves, at least the second part of the series.
Yeah, look, the Mets needed a victory. The Yankees needed a victory. This is actually a very symbolic time in baseball because last night the Mets played their 81st game, which is very easy for us who struggle with math. All you need to do is times everything by 2, and that's the pace that the Mets are on.
Right.
The Yankees, who did win last night, they're off today, will play their 81st game on Friday. And it got me thinking last night. We're watching Max Fried again dominate, especially off a loss. We're watching Juan Soto be a happy man, hit multiple home runs, be very excited. Are the Yankees better off with Plan B? Because the whole Plan B, if they didn't keep Juan Soto, was, well, we'll pivot.
Right.
And the main part of the pivot was Max Fried. If I had to guess, I think they still sign Goldschmidt. They probably don't sign Cody Bellinger. But the real main pivot was Max Fried. So as we sit here halfway through the season, Fried's had a great year. Soto's heating up. They're both in first place. I asked the Yankee fan, because I was giving this a lot of thought last night, is Plan B right now, 81 games in, better than what Plan A would have been?
How can you sit here and say that the Yankees are better off without Juan Soto? That's why I can't say that
even though Max Fried has had this ridiculous season.
That's the problem, is that Max Fried is pitching unbelievably, as he did again last night, 7 great innings. And so you know how important he is to this. But Carlos Rodon has been fantastic this year as well. So if you didn't get your ace in Max Fried, did you already have the ace in waiting in Carlos Rodon? This is obviously after Garrett Cole goes down. But, I mean, Juan Soto, if he doesn't leave and go to the Mets, have to get used to a new clubhouse, have to, live in the expectation of this massive contract that he has where he's got to be the leader on the field, maybe even in the clubhouse a little bit, even though I don't know if that's happening. But I think he's comfortable. Right, if he stays.
So he doesn't get off to the slow start he got off to.
He has 19 home runs right now. He probably has 25 if he stayed with the Yankees. And how much more does that make them able to have survived some of those bad points of the last couple of weeks? So it's hard to sit here and say with any kind of credibility, oh, yeah, the Yankees are fine without Juan Soto because they have Max Fried. I get what you're saying, but I can't agree with that.
Well, it's funny. Whenever we talked about Plan A and Plan B with the Yankees with Soto, I think we all agreed they were better off keeping Juan Soto.
Of course.
But in the short term, there was a way they could be better in the short term. And I think we're seeing how that's possible because Max Fried has been one of the best pitchers in baseball.
Right.
He's been the stopper. Like, I was going back and forth on this because there's a part of me that says when you're an everyday player the way Juan Soto is, you impact every single game.
Right.
As opposed to when you're a starting pitcher, you can impact other games based on going deep into a game and not having to overtax your bullpen, something the Mets have done a lot this season. But really, you're impacting the games you start. Everything else is, kind of indirect.
Well, you can be like Garrett Cole, too, the dugout leader.
Sure.
You're out there encouraging.
Absolutely. I don't know how you measure that one.
You can't. But
so it's really what you do on the field. And Max Fried has been, name the guy you want to argue. He's been the best pitcher in baseball.
Right.
I want to argue Tariq Skubal, fine, but it's a small argument in terms of who's better than Max Fried. And the Yankee offense has been good. Would it be better if Soto was there instead of Cody Bellinger? Absolutely. But what happens in the 17 games Max Fried started, and what happens in all the games Max Fried has started coming after losses?
Right.
That's the other thing that's kind of crazy, and that's what happened last night with the Yankees.
Well, he's clutch.
He's pitching, coincidentally, a lot of games after Yankee losses, and he's delivering just about every time.
Well, so now that partly changes the argument because what that tells you is that the rotation from start to finish isn't great, right? Because if he's pitching after losses, that means that whoever your fifth starter is every 6 days is not good,
or it's
not good enough,
or it's a coincidence.
I mean,
yeah, so it happens.
It's maybe we're gonna have to check that, but it just tells you that the rotation isn't deep enough. So if you didn't have Max Fried and it was just Carlos Rodon, how much worse is the rotation?
Well, if you don't have Max Fried, and the way I've assumed Plan B versus Plan A would have worked is if they kept Juan Soto, they were adding a first baseman. So Goldie's probably still on this team.
But not a high-priced ace pitcher.
I don't think so, unless Hal Steinbrenner was willing to open up the pocketbook in a way that I think would have surprised most of us. They're probably going more back end or maybe not adding anybody to the starting rotation. And I think through 81 games, through the first half of the season, it's actually been an edge to have Max Fried here. When you factor in no Garrett Cole, when you factor in the rest of the back of the rotation, when you factor in they've scored plenty of runs.
No Luis Hill.
No Luis Hill for now, which we didn't know at the time, in fairness. Remember, Luis Hill goes down. We didn't know that was going to happen. So I think through 81 games, I would actually side, if I'm being fair, I'm being an IBO right now. I'm not taunting. I'm not having fun with you saying Soto's smiling and he hates the Yankees. They are better off having the ace. The problem is, if I project the next 81 games and project the next 14 years, that's easy, then you're not better off with Plan B.
Well, it's also asinine to say any team is better off without Juan Soto. So that's the first thing I hear.
Yeah, but you're leaving out the part that you added Max Fried.
I understand.
You're just saying there's no Juan Soto.
But you hear Juan Soto's not on your team anymore, and you're better. I mean, it doesn't make any damn sense.
Yeah, because you left out the Fried part. You're being misleading.
I'm not being
misleading. You're like a politician.
I'm not.
And Jay Feely talking lately?
Yes, we have been, actually. I love Jay Feely running for Congress out in Arizona.
That's why I said it.
5th District, by the way. So, anyways, I feel like the Yankees are surviving without Juan Soto offensively because Trent Grisham gets 4 hits last night. You see the Martian, who was long sought to be this guy who's going to come in and revolutionize whatever. He finally hit and had a big day last night. He had 4 hits as well. So they're getting buoyed offensively, but it's kind of hit and miss. It's here or there. Trent Grisham went through a stretch for about a month where he just wasn't that same player that he started the season with. So I hear you. You can pitch no-hitters or close to it, but if you don't score any damn runs, how are you better?
No, and that's the other thing. Like, in the games Fried doesn't pitch, how much better would Soto have made the Yankee offense? And the answer is considerably better.
All right, let's ask the real Yankee fan, Sean Morash. Are you finally over Juan Soto?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I saw this tweet last night that was so utter troll.
No, I'm happy.
Had to make Evan proud.
No, I'm happy for Juan Soto. He's finally happy here, and I think that's great. But yeah, no, of course I'm over it. But the Yankees are better off to answer that question now. I was honest, I didn't think so early. But remember when they let go of Juan Soto and they signed Max Fried, we thought Cole would be a part of this. We thought Hill would be a part of this.
But they didn't. I think they knew that Garrett Cole was likely not going to be a long-term part of the 2025 season.
Maybe not, but I can only look at this from a fan's perspective. To me, Juan Soto, we have a 15 years to get through and judge it. There has been no more impactful free agent in Major League Baseball than what Max Fried has done for the Yankees. So if I feel that way, how do I not look at their plan B they had and go, yeah.
Yeah, you're right and you're wrong all at the same time. And here's my point on this. Through 81 games, through the sample size that we are now at, 81 for the Mets, 80 for the Yankees. Tomorrow night they'll officially hit the halfway point. I would argue, and it's close, that Plan B has been better than Plan A because of the value Max Fried has given the rotation. But here's what should depress you. It's close. And Max Fried has been 85 Doc Gooden to make it close.
Sure.
For the next half of the season, I don't know if it'll be that close. For next year and year 3 and year 4 and year 5, it isn't going to be because Max Fried is great now. I don't know what he's going to be next year or the year after or the year after or the year after.
I don't
And that's where you lose. And that's what I always said about the Plan A versus Plan B. There's a reason it was Plan A because it's your preferred option.
Yeah.
And while you may benefit in the short term, which I think they've done through 81 games, that's my victory I hand to you.
You're talking about the Yankees.
The Yankees, he represents them. There's no way that continues over the next, forget 50.
But why not?
Because pitchers in general are not surviving at this level for more than a couple of years.
Okay, but if the Yankees,
if that's your big
behind
retort,
Max Fried, behind Carlos Rodon, let's say Jason Dominguez and Trent Grisham become these stalwarts, and they are what we thought they were at the beginning of the season, and they win a championship, it doesn't matter.
Okay, so you brought up the cancellation button. Anytime you win a championship, all arguments die. Like, in honor of the 1-year anniversary of the Mikal Bridges trade, I know that as the years go by, Tommy and I will always have the back and forth about who won the trade, right? Stupid little argument. Tommy always knew, and I always knew this too, if the Knicks win an NBA championship, debate ends. That's it. It's over. Won the trade. Goodbye. It's over.
Right. If they trade him this offseason, the Knicks lose.
Well, that's a different story. But you're right.
Don't look scared, Tommy.
If Max Fried leads the Yankees, like what he's done through the first half of this season is unbelievable. Like, I pulled some numbers because they're really incredible for how good this guy has been. He has put together one of the great starts in the history of the New York Yankees through the first half of the season. And I don't know if that can continue in the second half. If it does, he's going to win a Cy Young. But hold on. I pulled it. It was amazing. Here it is. 1.92 ERA. Third lowest by a Yankee pitcher in his first 17 starts since 1913.
Wow.
Fried has allowed 2 or few earned runs in all but 2 of his starts. He has been the most dominant Yankee after losses, 8-1 with a 0.93 ERA. He's having a ridiculous season.
Yeah, he is.
If that continues, let's say I'm wrong about, he's going to not pitch as well in the second half. If this continues and he wins the Cy Young, and then in the postseason, unlike his resume, he dominates the postseason, and he's the World Series MVP, well, then obviously Plan B worked for your championship.
Right.
Just like if the Yankees won a World Series last year, the Soto trade would have been worth it, no questions asked. So, yes, the championship is the great derailer, if you will.
It is the great derailer, but even in the context of 81 games, so the first 81 of this season, the Yankees are fine.
Yes.
But I can't say they're better without Juan Soto.
But they wouldn't be leading the division right now, though.
I don't know if I can
Why?
agree with that.
Because of all that Max Fried's done, the way they've won games with Max Fried, I think even Juan Soto, think about when the Yankees were scoring all the runs at the beginning of the year. Juan Soto would have just added to that. Juan Soto now, he would have helped as they were slumping during this point.
Useless runs when you're
runs.
blowing teams
but,
out.
But knowing that you haven't had Cole and Heel, and knowing the way the pitching is kind of gone like this, Winans would have been up here earlier. Like, what would the Yankees have done right now?
Max Fried.
Maybe they would have signed Sean Manaea and he would have been hurt.
Maybe. Or they signed someone who gets
Right.
hurt.
Right.
Max Fried is receiving about 7 runs per game in run support. That's not to minimize what
Right.
he's done. But my point is, if you are having Soto in this lineup and you have an average replacement, if the Yankees are scoring enough runs, they may win those games anyway.
Right.
Maybe. I have a hard time thinking they are leading the Tampa Bay Rays knowing what's happened right now without the job of Max
And
Fried.
here's the other thing you're not factoring in. If Juan Soto was still on the Yankees instead of Cody Bellinger, and I do think that's a 1-for-1 comp, because I think if Soto is here,
Right. Not to say that they're equal. It's just
I think he replaced him.
It's who they replaced.
I don't think Goldie replaced him. I think they were signing Goldie either way. They needed a first baseman.
Or Bellinger was the first baseman.
I agree. The reason I disagree is the lefty-righty thing. I
Okay.
think they would have
All right.
preferred Goldie. Plus, it wasn't a trade; it was a free agent signing. I think it would have been Goldie. If Soto's there batting second ahead of Aaron Judge, or vice versa, depending on the way Boone wanted to do it, can you imagine the amount of RBIs Aaron Judge would have? He's having a historic season anyway. So
It's true.
You can't minimize what would have been different about this lineup if Juan Soto was here. And so we're 81 games in, and you think it's not even close. I tell you, it's close, and Max Fried's had a historic start to
I'll
the
tell
season.
you, it's debatable. Is what the answer is, because both teams are in good spots right now. Half a game out, the Mets are, because of the Phillies losing to the Astros again, and obviously finally getting a win over the Braves. But the Yankees are just sitting atop the East, the AL East, and while they're getting the Toronto's getting closer, and Tampa is right there, it doesn't feel like they're threats. And so
I kind of agree with that. The standings may be close. It doesn't feel like a threat.
It's weird. You don't feel scared.
And I feel the opposite. Like, even though the Phillies just lost back-to-back games to the Astros in which they haven't scored a run,
Right.
I'm like more afraid of a team like Philadelphia than I would be about Tampa Bay and Toronto. But let me give the Mets some credit because they needed to win yesterday. We did not want to be here in that kind of mood after more losses to Atlanta. Juan Soto delivers with a pair of home runs. Clay Holmes battled through 5 innings. It was an all-around good day for the New York Mets.
It was.
They win a baseball game. They finally score some runs. Can I nitpick one little tiny
Yeah,
thing?
real quick, I just got to say thank you, Tommy and Sean, for the impromptu Lugash debate series that kind of, for a day, broke the curse. Thank you, guys.
It's a great
Appreciate
point,
you.
Tiki. Thank you very
Congratulations
much.
on your victory. Thank you for participating.
You're welcome. We do what we can.
2-0. The Yankees and Mets are.
That's
Since
right.
the debate to refix the Mets and Yankees, because for those that are not aware, Sean and I had a debate who's better, Mets or Yankees, at the height of their greatness. And right after that debate, both teams went on horrible losing streaks.
Should we redebate that today? Now?
No. Let me tell you something. Never again in the history of this radio station are we at least doing a who's better, Mets or Yankees debate, considering what it started. But Juan Soto was great last night. He electrified Citi Field. Juan Soto, do me one favor. See, I'm going to nitpick all my Mets, all right? Like Pete Alonso, who'll join us at 3 o'clock. I'll tell him this. Pete, can you hit a couple of home runs? It's been 1 home run in the last 3 weeks. I mean, can you put a few over the fence? We're waiting on this Darryl Strawberry record.
The greatest home run hitter in your history and your franchise's history
Yes.
is now second to Juan Soto.
No. I'm just saying I need Pete to hit a home run.
I
He
know,
hasn't
but he's
done it
second
in a
to
couple
Juan
of weeks.
Soto now.
Oh, you mean this season?
This season.
That's fine. That's okay. Once Pete gets hot, he may pass him. Can Juan hit a couple of home runs with guys on base? Like, Juan Soto.
Say that to his face, Evan.
Juan, I love you, bro. This is how I say it to Mets. This is the way I'll say it to Pete in an hour. You know I love you, Juan. Actually, you don't know. You have no idea who I am.
By the way, these are previews of the bobblehead, the giveaways that are coming up in the 2025 schedule for the Mets.
Yeah, it looks good. If you're watching on SNY, you can see it. If you're listening, it's basically a replica of Juan Soto. He's got his ass sticking out. He's getting ready to hit.
Yep. Speaking of ass sticking out.
what? Mrs. Met?
Mrs. Met is coming as well.
Yeah. There's the Mrs. Met bobblehead for those that are watching on TV.
Do you have a question for Juan Soto that you needed to ask?
Yeah, my question is this. How many home runs has Juan hit this season? What's our grand total now?
19.
He's at 19?
19.
Juan, like 16 of them have been solo shots. And I love you. And trust me, solo home runs are fantastic. But can you hit a couple with guys on base, please?
Yes, Evan.
And that goes to the entire Met team.
Yes.
The Mets are hitting a ton of home runs even when they can't score runs. No one's ever on base. Can you hit a couple with guys on base? Thank you, Juan.
Yeah, and you can get that Juan Soto bobblehead Saturday, August 16th, a nice giveaway.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I'm going away that day, and I'm still trying to talk my wife into actually let's go to the Met game, get the Soto bobble, and then we'll leave.
It's so easy. Just give your tickets to Tommy. Tommy will represent you sitting in your perfect seats and get you the bobblehead.
Here's the problem.
He'll be here early. He's got no kids to worry about. He can actually come over at like 9:30.
Here's the problem. I've done this before. I've actually given tickets to people where I say, hey, look, free tickets, give me the giveaway. And if I'm not mistaken, Tommy, you have shamed me for this on the air before.
I have.
So how could I then ask him to do the thing he shames me for?
What if I told you, Evan, I have a Juan Soto bobblehead. It'll cost you $5,000, though. You could Venmo me or cash, either way.
Yeah, I'd say hold on to it. Maybe you can sell it on eBay in a couple of months. We got a lot going on. We're from the Cadillac Club. We'll get to your calls next, 888-808-1019. The Mets get a big victory. The Yankees get a big victory. And as we reach the halfway point, are the Yankees truly better off with their plan B, which features Max Fried on his way to potentially an American League Cy Young, but not having Juan Soto? Pete Alonso will join us coming up in the 3 o'clock hour. And yes, despite being in a very classy place like the Cadillac Club, I have been informed that at 4:30 today, we will be joined by Bad Tiki. So
really? I thought we postponed him for today.
No, he's here. Bad Tiki will join the program coming up.
Hide the Mrs. Met bobblehead.
I'm telling you. You better.